The 76ers getting shady with Joel Embiid and Paul George. Their injury status still up in the air. And now Nick Nurse refusing to answer questions about the superstar duo. What is going on? I'm Trevor Lane. This is the Basketball Bulletin. Make sure you subscribe right here to our 100% independent NBA channel. Joining me is Donnie Freeman. Donnie, I want to see Joel Embiid and Paul George out there. This should be a really exciting 76ers team. And yet still they're going to be ruled out for now their fourth game tonight against the Detroit Pistons. Tim Bontemps of ESPN. The Sixers say Embiid and George are both out tomorrow. It's tomorrow's game at home against Detroit. Reevaluated later this week. And then they play Memphis at home Saturday. So this game tomorrow against the Pistons, still no Embiid, still no Paul George. What is going on with the 76ers?
Yeah, I think that we've talked about it in the past, and we've definitely hit the nail on the head when we said that we think they're just going to try to bubble wrap these guys for the entirety of the year and just try to make it to the postseason healthy. I mean, there have been a lot of things injury related, tongue twister there, with these guys over the course of the last couple of weeks here, with obviously PG actually sustaining an injury and the way that they've been handling that. And also Joel saying he's not going to be playing in back-to-backs and the investigation, and it's all been pretty weird for them so far. But I think we definitely hit the nail on the head. They're going to try to just sustain these guys until they get later in the season.
Well, they've already got the NBA pissed off because they benched them for opening night national TV against the Bucks. But this was the biggest free agent signing of the summer. Paul George landing with the Sixers, and they're being so secretive about it. Take a look at this. This was Sixers head coach Nick Nurse asked at practice today about the situation, and he just flat out refuses to provide details. Check this out.
Obviously, we got to worry about Joel and Paul. In terms of their participation in practice today, were they able to do any live 5-on-5 or anything like that today?
You guys got the update? They were in parts of practice. On we go.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, apologies, but go ahead.
Sorry. It sounded like you guys went pretty hard for a good chunk of time today during practice. What was the focus, or what were you trying to hone
just trying to establish and maintain some type of identity and toughness of who we want to be and who we are and how we want to play, which finally showed up there 3 games in. Just staying on that track.
With Joel's plan,
I'm not going to answer. Go ahead. They've given you the updates on that, right? They're giving you the updates on Joel. Go ahead.
He couldn't even finish that question either.
No, he was shutting it down immediately. Now, here's the thing, though. Why? Well, I get they're under investigation, or they are rumored to be under investigation by the NBA. Nothing official on that. But why not just say, oh, yeah, they played 5-on-5, or they didn't play 5-on-5, or this is where they're at? By not saying anything, you're just creating more questions, more mystery around the situation, and more speculation about what's going on, because you won't say, oh, yeah, they're at this stage, they're at that stage. And I don't blame people for wanting to know. This isn't the 15th man on the end of the bench or something like that. It's Joel Embiid, the former MVP. It's Paul George, the biggest free agent signing of the summer. People want to know where these guys are at. By refusing to answer questions like this, it's just making the situation look that much more shady, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I got to ask anybody watching the video, if you're a fan of the Sixers, how do you feel about this? Because, for me, I'm not, super locked in. And otherwise, I don't really have like some super in-depth feeling about it. I'm kind of just outside looking in. I think it's, better to be transparent, right? But maybe fans of the team are like, okay, well, it is what it is. But I'd have to imagine that regardless, you'd feel some kind of way, because you would also want to know what's going on with your stars and why they're not out there competing to start the season, and what the expectation is for them to actually get out there and be competing, that is. And, it's weird because, like I said, I do think that they have a plan here, but at some point these guys have got to play. You can't try to go 10 games into the season and see where things are at that point and get these guys out there. That's just unrealistic. Like, you can't do that. So I'm expecting them to play sooner than later. It's just really weird when Nick Nurse is asked questions and he's like, "No, we already gave you an update. Don't ask me anything about that. I'm not going to tell you anything more. It is what it is. So just go with what we put out." So definitely makes them seem like kind of guilty, like they've got something to hide. And I don't really know what's going on there.
It's strange that, like you said, it makes it appear that there's something that they're hiding here. Again, maybe it has to do with them potentially being under investigation. He just doesn't want to say the wrong thing. Doesn't want to say the wrong thing because then it leads to questions about exactly what is their injury, what is the plan, all of that kind of stuff, and they want to leave things as vague as possible. But here's the thing. It's hurting the team right now. I mean, look at this. You lost to Milwaukee. Okay, it's Milwaukee, but you got blown out, and that's on national TV. You got beat by Toronto, the Raptors, who I guess have been a little bit better in terms of the way they've played than we expected. It took Tyrese Maxey poor Tyrese Maxey. He's Will Smith in the empty room looking around right now. Had to go for 45 points to beat the Pacers in OT to get your first win of the season. Although, Tony, part of me wonders, though, how much of this, despite the fact that they have Monday and Tuesday off, how much of this is, number one, their next opponent is the Pistons. And look, they lost to Toronto. It wouldn't shock me if the 76ers lost to the Pistons without Embiid. This is a big three team. They're built to have those three players. Without two of them, it wouldn't shock me if they lost to the Pistons. But I wonder if they just feel, you know what? The Pistons, there's a good shot we can still win this game. And then we get another 2 days off for Embiid and Paul George because we don't have to play again until Saturday. How much of it is that the way the schedule is laying out, and how much of it is the fact that the opponent is the Detroit Pistons coming up tomorrow night?
Yeah, that could be what it is. I don't really blame them for that mindset. I mean, we saw Jaylen Brown say, "Hey, versus the Pistons, we're going to run through Peyton Pritchard," right? So teams clearly are not really paying much attention to these bottom feeder teams.
Mm-hmm.
And, it is what it is. Maybe that is what they're trying to do. But I wonder also if that is the case, if they're also trying to gear up for the West Coast swing that they have here. Just quick question, Trev, Lakers and all, do you think they'll be playing by that game? Both of them in uniform?
I guarantee it. That's happening. 100%. Everybody does the Kevin Nash gif, right? Standing up out of the wheelchair as soon as Lakers are on the schedule. So here's what's going to happen, because we already know. Here's what's going to happen. Joel Embiid, I can tell you right now, Joel Embiid and Paul George will make their season debut on November 8th. They will sit every game up till that point, and then they will make their season debut on November
the ninth
8th.
game of the season. Can you imagine? I think PG is playing in that Clipper game. I think at least PG is playing in that Clipper game. Yeah. His return game there. I think at least one of them returns for the Memphis game, and then they ramp up, obviously, and they're playing in the games leading into LA and so on and so forth. But I think for sure that he will be playing there. You know what might happen with Joel is he plays Memphis and then doesn't play the next couple games or something like that.
God, could you imagine if that's just what the season is? I was so excited for the Sixers this season. Can you imagine if it's just every night is Joel playing? We don't know. Maybe. We'll see. Yeah. Does he feel like it? It's, you know what? And this frustrates people about today's NBA, this kind of stuff. This is why, like, people get sick of all the load management stuff, all the uncertainty. Will this guy play tonight? Will he not? Oh, no, he's taking this night off. And I know a lot of it gets reflected on the players when it shouldn't, because a lot of it is the teams. Most of the time, it's the team that decides whether or not a player is playing, not the player. I know we've got this perception that the player shows up and goes, "Oh, I don't feel like playing tonight." No, it's usually the team that decides to load manage a player or be extra careful with an injury. But this is what frustrates people about the NBA, is because you don't know when you can count on guys to play, if you can count on a player to actually be out there on the court. If you bought tickets to the 76ers the first 3 games, you were probably disappointed, with the exception of the OT thriller in Indiana. You were disappointed because you didn't get to see that big three out there on the floor. And there is still no communication from the team on when you're going to see them. So it's a frustrating situation. I just hope that in the future, especially given how tied to gambling the NBA is now, I hope that in the future we get more transparency than what the 76ers are providing us.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. And on the Joel thing, like I expect a little bit more out of PG going forward, but I truly think that if you're expecting anything more than for him to play 50 to 55 games in a season at this point, whether he's healthy or otherwise, they're going to bubble wrap him, I think, for the rest of his career, at least for the meaningful portions of it. I think that that's what you should be expecting is him playing 50, 55, maybe 60, but I don't see him going beyond that.
All right. Well, unfortunately, I think you're probably right. I don't think we're going to see a lot of Joel Embiid this season. They're going to try to bubble wrap these guys. But right now, Nick Nurse clearly not thrilled to be getting asked questions about his two of his three stars, I should say. And he was clearly a little bit annoyed with the way his team has played as well. So something to monitor here in Philadelphia. We'll see when Paul George and Joel Embiid do play. But everybody make sure you do subscribe right here to the channel. Turn on those notifications as well. Till next time, see ya and stay safe.